Hello, I'm Ellen Booraem, and I write fantasy for kids aged 10 and older. You'll have to pardon my voice, it's allergy season. All of my books are on the shelves of Friend Memorial Library, the best place on earth. My fourth book, River Magic, will be coming out in April. I'm supposed to be telling you my story as a writer, and my story's message, I guess, is it's never too late. Also, don't despair. I've been a professional writer all my working life, and all that time I was thinking, I'd like to be a novelist. Inconveniently, I had absolutely no desire to write an actual novel. When my partner Rob and I moved to Brooklyn in 1984, I actually did sit down and write a dreadful first draft of a really dreadful children's fantasy. Very proud because I had actually finished something. And then I stuck it in a drawer and went off to write and edit weekly newspapers for the next 19 years. In 2003, happily working at the Ellsworth American, on a whim I took a dialogue workshop with Goldsboro novelist Cynthia Thayer. And I discovered that I actually had learned something from all those years of trying to convey the drama and pathos of a school board meeting. So, in a moment of absolute insanity, at the age of 52, I quit my job and sat down with that horrible first draft and rewrote it. And it, in fact, did turn into my first published novel, which is The Unnamables, which came out in 2008. For the next 5 years, my kid-lit career went chugging right along. My brilliant editor, Kathy Dawson, jumped from Houghton Mifflin Harcourt to Penguin and took me with her. We churned out Small Persons with Wings in 2011 and Texting the Underworld in 2013. And then disaster struck. I got this wonderful idea for an historical novel set on the coast of Maine in 1650. Kathy approved, so off I went to research the heck out of the thing. I was especially diligent about this because my main character was a Passamaquoddy girl who had been raised by English settlers. And as a white author, I knew I was walking on thin ice. As it turns out, I did so much excellent research on this book that I completely lost sight of the original story that I had originally sold Kathy on, and utterly screwed up the first draft's good sardonic voice. 2.5 years after my last book came out, Kathy read the third draft and said, "This is not working. Can we do something else?" It didn't help that for a bunch of very, very good reasons, the children's literature world was now finding it increasingly unacceptable for white authors to write non-white characters. As a side note, I discovered just last week, listening to The Hidden Mind on NPR, that around the same time, another of Kathy's authors, the late, great Gail Shepard, had withdrawn her book in progress because she was white and her protagonist was half Vietnamese. I will never know why Kathy's head didn't explode that year. Gail eventually created a white protagonist and rewrote her book into The True History of Lindy B. Hawkins. But there was no way for my book to work without my original character. Also, it was by now a very bad book. So, my only option was to start fresh, whole new plot, whole new cast of characters, and this was not easy. My confidence was in the pits, and I was in mourning for my poor Passamaquoddy character, and feeling guilty about not giving her a better book to live in. For those reasons, along with some unrelated hurdles in Kathy's life and my tendency to slip on the ice and break things, it took a ridiculously long time to write this next book. As I said, it's coming out in April, and that's 8 years after my last book. I can't really tell you what has kept me at it, except the time-honored writer's advice of apply the seat of your pants to the seat of the chair, but also a good dose of cussedness. Now that I finally like writing novels, I'm certainly not going to give up. I'd like to thank Friend Memorial Library for focusing so beautifully on local authors, not just this year, but every year. And happy birthday to Roger Angel.